Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Hi everybody, welcome to Runaway with Liz. I am Liz, and in this video I wanted to talk about my race calendar for this year. And at the end of this video, I'm going to reveal what long distance hike Tony and I are doing this year. Are we doing the Via de la Plata of the Camino de Santiago? Are we doing the Kumano Kodo, or are we doing the Tour du Mont Blanc? Watch till the end of the video if you would like to find out. So talking about my race calendar, most of my runs that I am planning to do this year are going to be local or regional runs that are very easy to get to because this long distance hike is really the focus of the year. All of my races and running goals are very much secondary to this trip. But talking about the races, I've broken it up into phases. Phase 1 is base building. People like visuals, right? So the first couple months of this year are very much about rebuilding my base. After my 50-mile race, I'm working my way up to 10 miles. So I have registered for a couple of local 10-mile races in March and April, just as a little carrot to motivate me. One of them is hot dish themed because why not? I made my own training plan that I'm following for that. It's pretty simple. It's maybe 3-4 runs a week, gradually building up the long runs and a recovery week built in maybe every 3 weeks. And so I'm building up to a 10-mile base because I am going to be racing the Sioux Falls Marathon, which brings me to Phase 2, marathon training. Marathon training is going to start in the end of April, and I am following the Train Like a Mother Marathon Own It plan. This is a pretty aggressive plan. It's got some pretty long runs, which is something that I really like about it. I was figuring I was going to really miss the long runs if I'm not ultra training this year. I am happy to see that the long runs start out at like 10 or 12 miles. You do really need to have a solid base to start this training plan, which is why it's really important that I build up my base up to 10 miles this spring. If you've never heard of Train Like a Mother, this was written by Dimity McDowell and Sarah Bowen-Shea. They run the podcast Another Mother Runner. And I don't think I've ever really followed a plan out of this. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. The claim of the Marathon Own It plan is that it could provide someone a significant PR or even Boston qualifying times. I really don't think I'm going to be qualifying for Boston, but whoa, if I did, that would be a pretty dramatic personal record for me. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that it's going to be good for giving me an honest PR. So the Sioux Falls Marathon is going to be in August, and then within the marathon training cycle, Tony and I are going to be doing a half marathon, or at least that's the plan. We're not actually registered, but most likely Tony and I will be trekking out to Spearfish, South Dakota to do the Spearfish Canyon half. It's a really beautiful race. It's a net downhill, and there aren't really too many people that register for it. It's not a huge race, and so I think it's a good one to race because you're not doing a lot of weaving within the crowd or anything like that. And I think that's it for my summer races. I'll be checking in throughout the year to see how training for this is going once it gets started. And I am interested to see how using the Train Like a Mother plan goes, which brings me to phase 3, fun. After the marathon, I am not registered for anything, but I have a couple of ideas of some races that I would like to do just for fun. The first one is a local trail ultra or a potential ultra. It's actually a timed race. There's the option to do 6 hours or 12 hours of running, and it's a 5-mile loop here in Minneapolis. And I was thinking about signing up for the 12-hour one, and I like the idea of doing this as opposed to a distance ultra because I'm focusing on the marathon. So I'm going to be in pretty good shape, but I'm not necessarily going to be in ultra shape. So there isn't going to be a pressure to finish a particular distance and potentially injure myself by maybe doing more than I need to, because I definitely would be able to walk or hike 12 hours. I'm very confident about that. And so it's more of just a curiosity to register for this, just to see how far I can go in whatever shape I end up being in. But I never really thought I would consider a timed race, but after being on the trail for almost 14 hours last December, 12 hours is totally doable. And then lastly, I'm not registered for this yet, but maybe the Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon. This would be a 100% for fun race, especially if it's followed by a 12-hour trail race because it's only maybe a couple weeks after that. I would definitely be walking a large portion of it. I think it's like a 4-hour time limit. You need to maintain a 16-minute pace. It's a race that's been on my radar for a while. Tony and I were actually registered for it. We registered in March 2020 for the November 2020 Wine and Dine, and obviously that got canceled. So yeah, it would be kind of fun to finally be able to cross that off of the to run list. And that's all we have for my race calendar, which brings us to where are Tony and I going this year and what long distance hike are we doing? We are going to be doing the Kumano Kodo in Japan. Yes, it is happening. We have our flights, we have reservations for accommodation on the Kumano Kodo. We're very excited for it. It's happening in the fall. And moving forward on the channel, I'd really like to do some video updates during the planning process because we are planning this trip ourselves. We're not going through a travel agency or anything like that, except for maybe the local travel agency in Japan for the Kumano Kodo, but we'll get to that later. But overall, planning this independently, traveling independently. So yeah, stay tuned for some travel planning updates. I love planning for trips. It's very much part of the fun for me. I am really excited to see how all of these plans unfold throughout the year. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, maybe give it a thumbs up, maybe think about subscribing to the channel, Runaway with Liz, and thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.